My grandmother, the woman who raised me, was an interesting woman. My grandmother was a mix of Aztec, Mexican, and Spanish blood, but was born in Victoria, Texas. She loved her American heritage, though. Knowing she would struggle with her Hispanic culture, she worked to Americanize herself and her family in order to make it in society. Her life was full of funny contradictions in her attempt to mix those cultures. She was a bootlegger and a coin dancer, but preached the importance of being a lady. She would take her dark hair and dye it red and wear it in updos to look like her idols, Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball. She was proud of her light skin tone and was constantly putting on creams on her beautiful skin. Her name was Piedad, but asked to be called Patsy. For a Hispanic woman, she was not a good cook. But she wanted to teach me to be resourceful, to make it in America, and would make burritos, and I would sell them door to door in our neighborhood. She followed the Hispanic tradition of being an incredibly hard worker. My grandmother dropped out of school to work. She didn't know how to read or write, so I learned to speak, read, and write at a very young age. While she did speak English, she struggled, so I helped her be her voice. She spoke a mix of English and Spanish in the same sentence. Her Spanglish would put together sentences like, "Bring me the tenedor." She could not say bandana, but would pronounce it as banana. She couldn't say VCR, but would say BCR. We would celebrate the quintessential American holiday, Thanksgiving, by cooking typical American cuisine like turkey and green bean casserole, but there was always a side of tamales and lots of Tejano music sang by Selena. She was always teaching me to be self-sufficient and trying to make sure I would be able to be successful. She would tell me not to do things only halfway. I remember her telling me about her housekeeping job, and when I would help her clean, she would say, "Do a good job, put some beans into it." I was 5 years old at the time. Anytime I asked her for something, she would give it to me with stipulations. If she gave me the money, she would give me a chore list along with dollar bills. And her chore list weren't easy ones. Later in her life, she became very dedicated to the Catholic Church. When I was 17, I told her I was pregnant. Even though I was so young and not married, she didn't care. She was so happy to have a great-grandchild. She held family in the highest esteem. I went to her when I was 27 weeks pregnant and asked her for some money. She agreed to give me the money, but of course, a chore list was attached. With her ideals of cleanliness and hard work in mind, I got started. I swept, I mopped, I scrubbed, and I washed everything I had, with everything I had. The next day, I went into labor. My daughter was born weighing 1 pound and 15 ounces. My grandmother blamed herself. She knew I was going to do the chores with everything I had. She was the one who instilled that mindset in me. After all, she blamed herself for putting too much stress on my body while I was pregnant, and blamed herself for this tiny baby being born so early. Racked with guilt, she made a promise to God that if she could spend 1 year with my daughter, her great-granddaughter, he could take her. She promised to make 3 avitos for my daughter, Jessie. The avito is the white dress with the blue cape the Virgin Mother Mary wears. My grandmother would make those for the baby until my daughter grew out of it, literally until the dress tore at the seams. She promised to make the hábitos, have my daughter wear them until they fell apart, and my grandmother would take the dresses along with the lock of my daughter's hair to the church in San Juan as a fulfillment of her promise. My grandmother passed away 1 week before my daughter's first birthday. My grandmother had fulfilled her promise to my daughter, is 19 today and in perfect health. She was a woman who in her 60s said her favorite song was Bone Thugs and Harmony. It's the first of the month. She was a woman who taught me lessons early in life that I did not understand until much, much later. She taught me to be steadfast, not to give up, to always be a hard worker, and stress the importance of being a good mother. I tell my children these stories about my grandmother because she was so important to me. Her legacy is full of funny memories and stories that I carry with me today. I need her to be important to them too, because she had such an impact on my life, ultimately impacting their lives as I teach them those lessons. The wisdom she instilled in me will be with me forever. While I may not aspire to be a bootlegger or dye my hair red and curl it up like Lucille Ball, I do love Bone Thugs and Harmony. And I do love my children with the same passion she loved me. Just before I finish, I would like you to hear the conversation we had about Bone Thugs and Harmony. As we were driving down the street listening to this track, my grandma turned to me and said, "Oh, they're talking about the welfare check." She was so surprised that anybody would make a song about the welfare check. We laughed, and that's when the song became one of our favorites as we listened together. Thank you.